10864. Station's your final time cue will be with 15 seconds until airtime. Mark, 15 seconds until airtime.
The following is a presentation of Learfield. Welcome to Duck Insider.
Our whole athletic department, there's a level of expectations of success.
Throw, catch, touchdown, Oregon.
He can run and slam.
This is back out for a three. Left wing is good.
In the air to center, back at the wall. It's out of here.
Really excited that we get to rep our Ducks and hopefully come back to Eugene with some championships.
Indoor track and field national champion.
Oregon repeats as the Pac-12 champion.
And for the fourth time in the last 6 years, the Ducks are Pac-12 champions.
We have so many teams that are excelling right now, and it's really fun to be a part of.
This is Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Better banking, local solutions. Live from the Country Financial Studio, here's Joey Mack.
Thank you. Welcome inside the Casanova Center. We had the Oregon Football Coaches Show last night. Great stuff getting to know Marcel Yates, and also Oregon Volleyball with a straight set win over their rival in Oregon State. It was awesome to see the environment at Matthew Knight Arena. More on that in just a moment. We zero in on special teams for Oregon football today with Camden Lewis and Tom Snee. The two kickers both off to great starts. Camden Lewis on kickoffs and hitting field goals and PATs. Tom Snee has been ridiculously good for the Ducks punting the football. He's really become a weapon, as Coach Cristobal outlined this week. We're going to talk with those guys coming up. Also, the voice of the Arizona Wildcats, Brian Jeffries, will be with us here coming up in just a little while. Get the view from the Arizona side of things because, well, they're going to be here, 7:30. Kickoff scheduled on ESPN, a 5:30 pregame show on the Oregon Sports Network. That's all to come across the Oregon Sports Network today, tomorrow, Saturday. And we also have our Sylvan Ridge picks coming up, and I'm happy to report that the Coin beat both Jerry and Jorgie this past week. Going to be great. Going to be great to have you back with us tomorrow. Your comments, questions, concerns as we head into kickoff, if you're live with us in the 1 o'clock hour here on Facebook, on YouTube, wherever you want to get a hold of me, we'll find you. Also of note, our Pac-12 Fan Pass now on sale. You'll get different tickets for each home game. Some of the best seats throughout Autzen Stadium. $249. duckspass.seasonshare.com. duckspass.seasonshare.com. More info also on goducks.com. Now, without further ado, you've heard his voice on the student radio station here at Oregon, KWVA. You've heard his voice call many a great moment for Oregon football if you've ever tuned in to KWVA during a broadcast. You've also heard him on this very show doing various interviews for us across the Oregon Sports Network. And I'm happy to report that with the students back in town, Sean McPherson is here, ladies and gentlemen. Sean is the current sports director at KWVA, a position that I once held. It feels like forever ago, but it really wasn't that long ago. And Sean is what we have officially decided to refer to as the OSN intern extraordinaire. Sean?
It's going on my resume.
Man, welcome back.
It's a pleasure.
So Sean did a bunch of interviews for us on Football Media Day, has also been the one who's been here in the studio. You've probably seen him, those of you who watch the show, in the background throughout various programs. Glad to have you along for the ride, buddy.
It's great. It's great. I've been looking forward to this for a very long time. Been watching this show forever, and really excited to co-host this with you today.
Hey, it's going to be great. So Sean is going to be doing more and more Duck Insiders with us. So, Sean, you've heard me do this to people before.
I have.
And you probably
I've gotten the word.
You probably knew that this was coming. At least I hope you did.
Yeah.
Everybody has to tell their 2-minute life story. Sean McPherson, go.
2 minutes. All right. I was born in New York, third of 4 kids. Moved to Oregon when I was 5 years old. Always dreamed of being a broadcaster. Grew up watching SportsCenter, watching NFL broadcasts and whatnot. Also grew up idolizing the University of Oregon. So when it came time to pick my college, it was the only school that I ended up applying for.
Really?
And, so then freshman year, I joined KWVA, the student radio station. Worked there for the last 5 years now. I'm a fifth-year student. It's my last term here. I am now the sports director. My first term being sports director, also my last. Called Oregon volleyball the last couple of years. Currently calling Oregon football for KWVA. I'm also an intern with you. It's been really cool. Can't say enough kind words about the University of Oregon and KWVA and all the opportunities it's gifted me. in the world of broadcasting. And then also outside of broadcasting, I'm a huge runner. Super into that. I'd say that's my number one hobby. I also love watching sports, obviously. And my favorite TV show of all time is Breaking Bad. Seen it about 3 times. So I feel like that was significantly less than 2 minutes.
Minute 3.
Minute 3. All right. Could have done better.
Minute 3.
Could have told more of my life story.
But here's the thing, though. I always say that, like, you have to have that sort of internal clock, like a basketball player for a shot clock when we do the 2-minute life story. But here's the thing, Sean. That was one of the most efficient and well-worded 2-minute life stories we've ever gotten. That's a broadcaster.
All right.
Right? You're all about word efficiency.
Sure.
Right? You have to be. So that was great. So we can save we'll find out some more fun facts. I like the fact that you dropped in the TV show fun fact at the end. That was well done.
Thank you.
That was well done. So anyway, OSN intern extraordinaire. That's what you can officially put on your business card,
your
your
resume,
whatever you want. I mean, I think everybody agrees, right? Like we've got this. First question coming in on the YouTube stream, I believe from Eric. What will be different odds in this week? What adjustments have been made? To be honest with you, not a lot of adjustments have been made, except more concession stands are open. There's going to be maybe longer lines than you experienced in the Stony Brook game just because more fans will be in the stands. But in terms of protocols and everything else that you need to know and all the protocols we've been talking about with vaccination proof or a negative test to enter the stadium, wearing masks at all times unless you're actively eating or drinking, all of that is the same. There are more concession stands open because we have A, more supply, and B, more workers at the concession stands. So those are some of the adjustments. The Mo will still be closed. Chris says, Sean Mack, somebody hire that guy for play-by-play on TV. All right!
Oh, wow.
Hey,
thank you, Chris.
Yeah,
appreciate it.
That's good. So you got a fan already.
Am I Sean Mack or Sean McPherson?
You was Sean McPherson on there. I mean, whatever you want, though. So here's the deal. So
Sean Mack and Joey Mack is
right.
a nice little ring.
So I have to tell a quick story. So many of you probably know the way that I got the Joey Mack nickname was actually from Jerry Allen on this very show.
Wow.
When I was in a position very similar to yours, I was co-hosting with Jerry on Thursdays and Fridays at the time, and he got to the point where he was like, your name is too long. It's just too many syllables. You can trip over it. And as a broadcaster, you always want to be able to say things quickly, right, and efficiently, as we talked about. So Jerry was like, no, we're just going to call you Joey Mack.
Joey Mack.
Jerry just decided that one day on the show. Todd Miles, who you know from Oregon Sports Information, has called baseball for us on OSN in the past. Todd always has felt very strongly that you cannot give yourself your own nickname. So I feel like if it comes naturally, and Chris brought it up already, maybe you're into something. I will tell you. So Nikki Papoulis, our coordinating producer, Nikki said that you should be Mini Mac.
Mini Mac.
I didn't like Mini Mac.
See, I'm 6'2". I wouldn't consider myself mini.
You're taller than I am. So that just doesn't make any sense to me. So I think that Sean Mack can work, but it has to just come naturally.
Yeah.
Like my real name isn't Joey even, right? Like my parents called me Joey forever, and now here I am. So
all right.
I'm not a Joseph.
Well, I feel like Sean Mack would just be copying your whole thing. I mean, Joey Mack, Sean Mack.
but
it does work.
But it comes with the last name.
Hey, unlike you, my last name is M-A-C. Yours
you
is MC.
actually have more of a claim to it than I do. I'm an MC. I'm a Mick. In fact, like if I understand the way that Irish versus Scottish naming goes, I'm actually probably making all of my Irish ancestors roll in their graves by adding the A, because that's not how it's supposed to be done. Anyway, this is what we're talking about today. Were you at volleyball last night, or
I was not?
So you turned the reins have been turned over to Ryan
The reins have
Milano.
been turned over, correct?
Man, though, I got to tell you, we were doing the coaches show, and I was tuning in from afar. Awesome atmosphere. Those of you who were there, I've been told that it was maybe the best iteration of shout that we have ever seen at Matthew Knight Arena, because it had just been so long. Anytime you take down the Beavs, great stuff. Great stuff from Oregon volleyball last night. Sean, you've been around this program. You've been in here for, I think, every conversation that I've had with Coach Ulmer this year. Man, this team is fun to watch right now.
They're really fun. I knew they were going to be a really special team this year. They were special last year. They only lost 4 matches all last year. They basically bring back the exact same team. Everyone's gotten better, and so far, 10-1 on the season. I think they're a Final Four contender. I think they're going places this year.
Final Four contender would be a lot of fun. They've been in the Sweet 16 an awful lot under Coach Ulmer. All right, also of note, today is Thursday, we always pick out, and by we I mean Scott Phillips, a Throwback Thursday for each week, each game. And this time it was another Pac-12 home opener from 2011. We were just having this discussion. Sean was 12 years old. I was a freshman at Oregon. I was sitting in the student section for this game. Oregon against Cal in 2011, our Throwback Thursday for the week.
Yeah. Going to give it to LeMichael. Going to go left, trying to get it outside, and does. 50, turn the corner, 40, 30, that quick. He'll punch you in the face. Thomas on the stamp, going to option a give it to the end around. If he can get away, he's got a chance. DeAnthony, 15, touchdown. With time for the end zone. DeAnthony, touchdown.
That thing was a dart, Jerry. An absolute dart.
Barner down to the left, and he'll get the handoff. No, that's DeAnthony. Oh, it is Barner. It is Barner, and he's gone. Kenyon Barner. Well, if one don't get you, the other one will. Has some time, looks right, throws. It is caught. Touchdown, DeAnthony Thomas.
Scott, can you do me a favor, and can you go to the very end of that clip? I want everybody to see something that, if you're watching, you're going to absolutely love. At the very end of this clip, pause on the man that is in the very back corner of the end zone, Scott. A little bit further. Look at who it is in a pre-Oregon era. That is one Rob Mosley behind DeAnthony Thomas. Yeah, one Robert J. Mosley during, I think that's Mose, right? If it's not, it is eerily similar.
It's a good catch.
I think it is. We're going to have to ask Rob. We might have to do a side-by-side. That was from 2011, another Pac-12 home opener that went really well. The Ducks have had a few of those over the years. I think back, though, I mean, that was LeMichael, Kenyon. That was DeAnthony.
And my second favorite Duck jerseys of all time, Oregon football jerseys.
Well, it's funny you say that because a quick tease with some insider knowledge, it is Duck Insider. Let's just say that the uniform selection for that Throwback Thursday, there might have been a reason behind it.
Duck fans going to learn that later today?
Potentially.
Yeah,
potentially. All right, we got to get a timeout. When we come back, I got a chance to catch up with Brian Jeffries, the voice of the Wildcats this morning. We have that for you today coming up on the show, and then a few other interviews, and Sean and I will be back with you after this on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
As my family continued to grow, I realized I'd have to replace my beloved Jeep with something that has, well, more seats. I'm Jason Hines, Country Financial Rep and father of 7. Whether you're upgrading from your sporty ride with no room for a car seat or finally replacing your well-loved beater that still has a cassette player, you'll want the right protection for your new car. Work with a Country Financial Rep like me and get the protection you need at a price you can afford. Learn more at TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local Country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Don't go anywhere. Duck Insider continues after these messages on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
When you went car shopping, you meant business. You aced vehicle history searches and test drives. You out-salesmaned the salesman. Now you've got your wheels. If you manage that, you can get your retirement plan on track. Visiting aceyourretirement.org can help. With 401k tips and smart saving strategies, you'll have the info you need to get more for your future. Go to aceyourretirement.org because when it comes to speeding past financial challenges, you're an ace. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
Look out, world, we're getting strong. The future's here and we belong. She can do more. Like build a rocket and watch it soar. Or clean the oceans and make the world a better place. Oh, so can you. Find a cure. Invent something new. There's no challenge in the world that she can't face. She can STEM. Learn more at She Can STEM. A message brought to you by the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack here in the Country Financial Studio. And joining us virtually, it's Brian Jeffries. He's the voice of the Arizona Wildcats. And Brian, first of all, thanks for joining us. Second of all, I see a stack of Pelican cases behind you that look eerily similar to what I'm used to over here in our corner.
Yeah. Yes, our offices share as a storage room, and so actually everything's not here. A lot of it's already on the truck headed for Eugene. So this is just half the stack here.
Yeah, that sounds about right. We're in the same boat. Brian, this is season what for you calling football?
My math's not good, Joey. So my first full season was the fall of 1987. So it's 30-something. And I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, I remember you and Jerry, I think, are the two longest tenured now. And so I just keep thinking about all the great games that the two of you guys combined have called. A lot of great classic basketball and football matchups. It's fun to think about. And hopefully we're getting ready for another one. 7:30 at Autzen Stadium coming up. Brian will have the call on the Arizona side of things on the radio network. First of all, just tell us about this Arizona team, Brian. Not off to as good of a start, I think, as Wildcat fans would like. What's your summary so far?
Well, you've got a new coaching staff, and I think that has a lot to do with it. You also have a number of new players on the roster. No excuses. They just haven't played well enough to win. They lost to BYU in their opener up in Las Vegas, got within 8, couldn't get the job done, got beat by San Diego State in Tucson. The Aztecs are a pretty darn good football team. And then the one that probably hurts the most was last week's loss to Northern Arizona. Arizona had not lost to the Lumberjacks since 1932, and NAU's an FCS team, and so that one was pretty hard to swallow for everybody. They've got a lot of work to do. There's no doubt about that. When Jed Fish came in, he said, look, this is not an overnight process. In order to build this program, it's going to take time, and obviously it's going to take time. So the defense is a little better than you've seen from Arizona the last few years, but offensively they've struggled mightily to get in the end zone.
Tell us a little bit about Coach Fish. Brian, what was your breakdown of him when he got the job? I think it raised some eyebrows around the greater Pac-12 landscape, but it sounds like a lot of Wildcat fans were pretty darn excited about the hire.
Well, yeah, when he was first announced, even when his name first came up, Joe, I mean, everyone said, who? Because he has been a coordinator at both the NFL and college level for a long time. He's worked in the Pac-12 before at UCLA. He comes from the Bill Belichick coaching tree most recently with the Patriots, and a ton of experience. He did coach a couple of games at UCLA as an interim coach, so back in 2017, but that had been it. So a lot of people, yes, said, who's this guy? But he kind of lit the community on fire with his ability to connect. He is very active on social media. He's just a very energetic, positive, upbeat guy. And anybody that meets him likes him. So I think that won over the fans right away. The next thing to do, of course, is to win games. And as I said, that's going to take some time. What's the reaction been around practice and the team, Brian, to the loss last week? I feel like there's probably a fire lit underneath everybody right now. Yeah, I mean, it's a combination, Joey, being disappointed, angry, wondering, hey, what can we do to get better? I think the good news, at least for the Arizona fans, is that they all took blame. No one was pointing fingers. They said, hey, look, we're all responsible for this. We all need to play better. Now, does Arizona have the horses to play better this season? I mean, time will tell. But they've stayed together. It's not. I don't think it's a bad team. It's just a team that hasn't quite figured it out yet. Brian Jeffries, voice of the Wildcats, here with us for a few minutes. All right, I'm going to ask you the question that I think you've probably been asking, and everybody in Tucson's been asking: who the heck's going to play quarterback on Saturday? Yeah. Well, we'll know before game time. Jed Fish is not the type to hold those things back, and he'll make the announcement. And it could be one of three guys. Gunnar Cruz started the first 2 games. He's the transfer from Washington State. He had played 1 game with the Cougars. Will Plummer started the NAU game. Will played in 3 games last year for Arizona as a true freshman, started 1. And then Jordan McLeod, the transfer from South Florida, came in and ran the last 2 drives, including the last scoring drive for the Wildcats against NAU. He has the most experience just based on his time down at South Florida of any of the 3 guys. But he wasn't here for spring ball. He wasn't here for the summer. He was still in class at South Florida. So he's been behind in terms of catching up with the playbook. So it could be any one of those 3. And there's a really good possibility that 2 of them will play in the game. Jed Fish originally was not the type of coach that wanted to have a 2 quarterback system. But he says, look, the competition has been close. We need to give all these guys an opportunity. So, you might see one guy. I tell you what, whoever starts, if he's effective, he's staying on the field.
Yeah.
If not, they'll turn to somebody else.
They do have some great skill position guys. I mean, there's been a number of those guys that our coaches have talked about, Brian. I mean, just update Oregon fans for those that don't know on some of the weapons that the Wildcats have at their disposal. And one guy who is pretty darn good.
Yeah, Stanley Berryhill has had a great start to his junior season. He's a local kid. He's caught 28 balls already through 3 games, averaging almost 10 yards a catch, if I believe. He plays on special teams as well. He's their punt returner. He has been the MVP of an offense that has struggled so far. They just got to get him the ball. They've got some other good receivers. B.J. Castile is back again. Tavion Cunningham is back again. I think the running back group is deep. Michael Wiley, kind of the returning starter, although he struggled early on. And so they turned to a couple guys like Drake Anderson, who's a transfer out of Northwestern. But the thing that they really need to improve upon is their offensive line play. And all 5 guys are veterans, and they will readily admit that they have just not played as well as a group yet as they need to. So I think if the offensive line can do its job, Arizona's got some skill players that can get the job done if they can get the ball.
To the defensive side, you touched on it. It's a little bit of a better defense maybe than in years past. Why do you say that, Brian? What sticks out about the Wildcat D?
Well, Don Brown came in as the defensive coordinator. He's better known as Dr. Blitz, most recently at Michigan. He's over 40 years as a college coach on the defensive end. He has instilled a belief system in this defense. They're just playing better, Joey. I mean, last week they missed 4 tackles in the entire game. Their opening game, they missed, I believe it was 9 or something. They missed 16 against San Diego State. He keeps track of things like that and says that makes a big difference. They brought in, again, some transfers that have made a difference so far, but they're still led by their veteran linebacker, Anthony Pandy, who's their leading tackler and really kind of the voice of the defense. They've had a good start from Jalen Harris so far this season. Again, they got some nice transfers. Trayshawn Hayward in from Western Michigan. Kenny Abear, a transfer from Vanderbilt. Jerry Roberts from Bowling Green. Who else am I missing here? Malik Reed from Wisconsin. Gunnar Maldonado, a young guy. Another transfer from Northwestern has played early on. So you put those guys in, and they have played Division I football before. They're not JC kids. And so that has given Arizona more depth, and I think thanks to Don Brown, they're a more effective defense.
God, well done. That was like the transfer portal just roster read-off right there from Brian Jeffries. Hey, you touched on Dr. Blitz. That might be the best nickname for a defensive coordinator I've ever heard. I know he's talked about it. What's the origin of that, Brian, and just how much fun does he have with it versus how much more fun do your fans have with it?
Yeah, he'll tell you right away that that may be his nickname that somebody gave him, and he can't even remember who gave it to him. But it's not that Arizona blitzes on every snap of the ball. It's more of a pressure attacking defense. That's what he has preached through his entire career, and that's what he is bringing to the Arizona defense. They try and mix things up. They probably have more defensive calls than any coordinator I've ever been around. And so they try and change the look. They want the opposing offense to not know where that pressure is coming from. That's kind of the origin behind the Dr. Blitz nickname. And that's how he wants his defense to play. And they have. If you look at the numbers through 3 games, they are much better than an Arizona defense has shown probably 6-7 years, maybe even longer back than that. However, they've not played a Pac-12 team. They haven't played Oregon yet, and so we'll see how things go Saturday.
I'm always curious about the view of Oregon every time I do one of these conversations, Brian. I mean, what is the view of the Oregon program from the Wildcat fan base right now?
Well, I think the Ducks are right now the gold standard of the league, and I know people down in Southern California will argue that and claim that USC is supposed to be, but it's been a while since the Trojans have been in the same position that the Ducks have been in terms of just national notoriety and rankings, et cetera. So, Oregon's the type of program that everybody wants to be like. And Jed Fish has not been afraid to say that. I mean, he looks at the recruiting that Mario Cristobal has done and says, well, that's where we need to be. We need to be able to recruit like that if we're going to build this program to the level that we can win championships. And so, to me, Joey, I think Oregon looks like Oregon. And you go back since, the mid-'90s when things really started rolling in Eugene. to me, it's just another Duck team, another very good Duck team.
That's what Duck fans like to hear, but now they got to back that up, too, coming up on Saturday against the Wildcats. Brian Jeffries, I got to sneak in a basketball question for you. I mean, the voice of Arizona basketball. Tell us a little bit about your new head coach and Tommy Lloyd. What's the expectation for when these two teams meet on the basketball floor this year?
Yeah, he's an interesting guy. He coached under Mark Few at Gonzaga for 20 years. So I'll tell you right now, from what I've seen in practice, the Gonzaga system is now at Arizona.
Wow.
Which means a lot of ball movement. They're going to move up and down the court. He's got a lot of new players to deal with, obviously, but he's got some guys back again. I'm really interested to see how this thing works out. They've got good, I think, good skill at every position. The biggest question mark is going to be point guard, where they really have one right now in Kirk Kriisa, and they need to find another one. But Ben Mathurin back from last season, Azuolas Tubelis back from last season, so he's held on to enough veterans, and he's brought in Pelle Larsson, transfer from Utah, is on the roster now. Although he broke his foot, he probably won't play here until December, but I'm excited to see what they can do, because you like his system using Mark Few's done okay at Gonzaga. If Tommy Lloyd can bring that same type of style and success to Arizona, everybody's going to be happy.
Yeah, Mark Few's not had a bad time there at Gonzaga, on the floor. It's been pretty impressive. Brian Jeffries, last question for you. Arizona wins on Saturday if they do what?
Well, A, they do not turn the ball over. B, they are in the game at halftime, because they've, in 2 of their 3 losses, they were down 21-3 to BYU. They were down 21-0 to San Diego State. It totally had to change their playbook at that point, and the offense has not been able to catch up. They did lead Northern Arizona 13-0, then went 10 straight empty possessions. So I think at halftime, if Arizona's within 7 or 10 points, they're going to go to the locker room feeling pretty good about themselves. But again, somehow they've got to get in the end zone, Joey. They've just not been able to. They've got 2 touchdowns in 9 trips into the red zone through 3 games, and that just doesn't get it done. So I think the offense, or I should say, I think the defense is capable of playing well. If the offense can equal that, it gives them a chance. If they can be in the game in the second half, it gives them a chance. But it's a tough hill to climb. There's no doubt about that.
Brian Jeffries, voice of the Arizona Wildcats, jumping on a plane tomorrow, headed out here to Eugene. He'll have the call on the Arizona side of things on the radio network. Brian, can't thank you enough. Looking forward to seeing you in person again.
Absolutely. It's great to be back in front of, well, we're not in front of the fans, but you know what I mean. It's great to be in that atmosphere again. It's real football, and I'm looking forward to it.
That's right. That's awesome. Brian Jeffries, thank you so much for the time. Safe travels. Best of luck, and we'll see you here in the Autzen Press Box.
All right. Thanks, Joey.
When we come back, we've got a ton more on the offensive line. We're going to hear from Jackson Powers Johnson, one of the young guys. Some great quotes from him next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Dear past, present, and future football watchers, football is back! So consider this your official excuse for always putting football watching first, courtesy of Pepsi. That haircut appointment? Seeing the in-laws for the first time in ages.
It's been so long!
Nope, sorry, Susan, not if it's on Sunday. Long story short, after the year we've all had, we think you could use a little football watching. So crack open a Pepsi and cheer your football watching face off. With love, Pepsi. Made for football watching. That's what I like.
Dear Exit Strategy, no matter which Toyota you choose, there's an exit from the ordinary to match. See you soon, Toyota. Visit your local Toyota dealer or Toyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places.
Duck Insider continues after this timeout on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Steven.
Who said that?
Me, down here.
Ugh, what are you, a yellow booger?
I'm a banana slug, Steven.
What are you doing in my room?
I'm your sense of adventure. It's been a long time since we've had an adventure in the forest.
Mom took me to the forest last year.
I'm a slug, Steven. It took me a long time to get here.
You're right. I should get out.
Yeah, the forest is not that far away.
Hey, Mom!
Come to the forest where the more adventurous you lives. Check out discovertheforest.org for cool places nearby. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
America, your children have an amazing superpower. That's right. They can help save lives by simply washing their hands. Just 20 seconds of thorough hand washing after they've coughed or sneezed or been outside can help fight against the dastardly spread of germs. Armed with only soap and water and hands, your superhero can protect you, your family, and everyone out there in America land. Amazing! Find out more at coronavirus.gov. A message from the CDC and the Ad Council.
Back inside the Country Financial Studio, Joey Mack along with Sean McPherson. Sean Mack, we also heard a Mac 2.0. I think we got options.
Yeah.
I think we got options.
I like it.
We heard from Brian Jeffries. That was awesome. Still going to hear from Camden Lewis and Tom Snee coming up. Jackson Powers Johnson as well. Some awesome stuff from him. Time now, though, for our Graduated Ducks feature. We always feature someone who's already earned their undergraduate degree. And it's not just what these guys do on the field, it's what they do off the field. Brought to you by our friends at Graduate Eugene, the best place to stay for Duck fans in Eugene. If you're making the trip in for a game, go to Graduate Eugene. Best place to stay for Oregon football fans. Today, I wanted to highlight Nate Hiaukulani, a guy who was really pressed into duty, but man, he was always ready for it. Let me give you the background on Nate a little bit. A 3-year starter at Jesuit High School, ended up betting on himself after helping lead Jesuit to a pair of state titles in 2013 and 2015. He went to Monterey Peninsula College, then later transferred to Arizona Western College before utilizing some connections, came to Oregon as a junior in 2018, utilized a redshirt. Then as a redshirt junior, played in 3 games in 2019. As a senior last year, played in 5 of Oregon's 7 games during that pandemic-shortened year. And now the Portland native has been so valuable for the Ducks, as there's been some guys banged up in that linebacking core, and Nate Hiaukulani has stepped in for the Ducks in a big moment.
Yeah, imagine going from Western Arizona College to the number 3 team in the country, and he's playing a big role. You mentioned it. Keith Brown's been out. Justin Flo has been out at times. Keith Brown's been out at times. Justin Flo's been out pretty much the entire year. Mace Funa's been out. Kayvon Thibodeau. The list goes on and on of the front 7 being hobbled up, and he's playing a big role. He's not the only one, though. Bossa, McNeil, there's been a lot of other guys that have really stepped up.
Nate Hiaukulani, he said that he really bet on himself, and now he's getting the advantage of, well, the opportunity. And I always say to everybody, you have to make your own luck. Well, he's taken advantage of it because he's been in the best opportunity and already has that degree, the ultimate goal. Getting that degree as a student athlete. Nate Hiaukulani, a locally inspired hotel in the heart of downtown Graduate Eugene, bringing you our Graduated Ducks. It's the smartest place to stay for Oregon football fans. Another guy who was really pressed into service a little bit, not necessarily because of injuries, but well, actually because he's earned it. That's Jackson Powers Johnson. Has been playing all over the place on the offensive line for the Ducks. Got a chance to catch up with him a little bit this week.
What do you see out there? Like, you know, that's like not your first game experience, obviously, but that's like where you played the most amount of snaps. You know, what what did you see out there? What did you learn from that experience, and where do you want to go going forward?
You know, like I just learned that like it's not as hard as I think it is. You know, a little bit, and for sure it's college football, but I just learned that, you know, it's just a game too, and it just gave me a little bit of taste for more. I want more, you know. I want to get out there as much as I can and help my team. And it was a great experience, and I'm humbled to be able to be a part of it.
You played guard and center. Do you have a preference in that one, or are you open book? You just want to do what helps the team?
I'm open book, whatever helps the team, you know. So yeah.
And so Oregon obviously recruited you more as a center, but you know, what have you been getting the most snaps at, like in a practice situation?
Mostly just center, some here guard, you know. It just depends on the day, you know. Coach Marable likes to cross train, so I'll get right guard, left guard, whatever they need me to do, because if anybody goes down, you know, shame on me if I can't get in there and do my best and be prepared.
With Arizona, they have the Pac-12's leading sack getter. They have Gus Williams at the helm, who's a defensive coordinator who's been known to blitz his entire career. When you guys break down film, like, what goes into your pass and block protection and trying to scheme against the blitz?
You know, it's just preparation, you know, and looking at repetition, watching film, and just communication's a big thing. If we're loud, concise, have great communication, we can do anything with each other definitely. And they're a great team. They got a lot of great players. So we're just approaching it how we normally approaching it, you know, just focus on the next practice and going forward from there.
You talked about communication just before. You know, what was it like being in this Autzen Stadium last week. I know it was rainy and there weren't as many fans there, but what was that atmosphere like, and what was the second half with shout going on? How was that experience?
It's great. I love it, and that's why I came here. It's such a great atmosphere, especially the rain. I think it's cool that you'll have like all those people still stay with the rain and everyone cheering when it rains harder, and it helps us as players just to know not only do we have that mindset, but the fans have that mindset. It kind of gives us a little boost. And but the shout second quarter, it's awesome. It's a great experience, just even being on the field, being off the field, or just being like in the stands, And so I'm just appreciative. I love the fans, and yeah.
Off topic, but you played with Jackson Dart in high school. I know you guys are going through pregame prep while he was playing.
Yeah.
But afterwards, what was it like to see him get the opportunity to play and play well for USC?
I knew he had it in him. I love that kid. I miss him. He's a great dude. I knew he could do all those things, and he's trained for it. He's a great player, and more importantly, he's a great person, has a great family. So of course it was awesome seeing him do well, And my family and his family are close, so it was a great conversation after with him, and I'm proud. I'm happy for him.
You guys might get to play each other later this year if USC.
It'll be a different story. We're not really focusing on that. We're just focusing on next practice and next game. But yeah.
Appreciate it, Jackson.
Perfect. Thank you.
Jackson, what's your relationship like with Alex, and how much has he mentored you this year?
Oh, I love Alex. He's like a big brother to me, honestly. He helps me out so much. I mean, not just on the field, but off the field too. Like, me and him have the same kind of anxiety types where we want to be early and we want to do certain things. So whatever he does, I do, because he's a great player. He's setting up for a great season, and I want to be just like him, and learning from him and growing with him and, just helping him out. It's a great process, and I love him as a person. I love him as a football player.
What about Coach Mirabal? What makes him so great?
That's hard because there's so many things. Coach Mirabal's he's a great person as well, but also he won't let you just coast, He'll get on you, and he gets on you because he loves you, and he loves each and every one of us, and he cares about us not only just as players but just as people as well. I think he's such a great coach too, just because how passionate he is, and he knows the ins and outs of literally everything, and he wants to help. Like, he'll help the running backs, he'll help the tight ends, he'll help literally everyone. Everyone loves Coach Mirabal because he's a true team player, so team coach. So yeah.
All right. He's a team player and a coach at the same time. I mean, he's a tactician. I call Alex Mirabal the professor because he used to be a high school teacher and coach, and he has that voice to him where he's just so knowledgeable. And that was, of course, Sean, who was asking those questions to Jackson Powers Johnson there at the end. He's an impressive guy. I think we're going to have some good interviews with him moving forward.
Oh, yeah. It seems like the offensive linemen always give fantastic interviews, and he was no different. Some really good quotes in there.
Yeah, no doubt about it. All right, we're going to zero in on special teams when we come back. Also of note, our Slocum Center Minute. This is one, unfortunately, I've seen a few of these, and they're not fun. How do you deal with compound fractures? Going to learn about that and then hear from some of the kickers next on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield. Welcome to the Slocum Center Minute. Slocum Center orthopedic doctors are located here in Eugene and are the official orthopedic team physicians for your beloved Oregon Ducks. With me, I have Dr. David Baer, an orthopedic surgeon at Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, discussing compound fractures. Dr. Baer, describe what a fracture is and the different types.
So a fracture is what happens when the bone breaks. So there's a common injury, and we often see it associated with a lot of sports injuries. A compound fracture occurs when the bone breaks and actually sticks through the skin. This is obviously a severe injury and often involves a lot of ligament and muscle damage too, and poses the patient at risk of infection.
Is a compound fracture more common than other types of fractures in athletes?
Most fractures in athletes are not compound fractures. I'd say athletes are more at risk of compound fracture due to their high level of intensity in their sports, especially sports like football injuries. With enough force you put on the bone in the wrong angle, the bone will not only break, but it'll go through the skin. So outside of sports, we often tend to see compound fractures and injuries like car accidents or falls from great heights.
Thanks for the information, and thanks for joining us today, Dr. Baer.
Thank you.
That was the Slocum Center Minute, brought to you by Slocum Center for Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, the official orthopedic sports medicine team physicians for University of Oregon Athletics since 1967.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
Is that the sound of an ooey gooey cheesy crunchy slice of P-I-Z-Z-A? Obviously. But as good as that sounds, we think it can get even better. Oh yeah, that's the sound of a freshly opened fizz-filled Pepsi. The only thing that can take this flavor medley of crunchy dough, mouth-watering cheese, and savory sauce to the next level. How about another bite? Pepsi and pizza sound like a match made in heaven and taste even better. Pizza, better with Pepsi. That's what I like.
Duck Insider, your home for the latest news on Oregon athletics on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Watch out! You got me! The galaxy is safe once again.
In the pretend universe, kids play with pretend guns. In the real world, it's up to us to make sure they don't get their hands on a real gun. If you have a gun in the house, keep it locked, unloaded, and stored separately from ammunition. Safe gun storage saves lives. Learn how to make your home safer at endfamilyfire.org. That's endfamilyfire.org. Brought to you by End Family Fire, Brady, and the Ad Council.
Uh-oh, Brad's buzzed.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he's starting with the woots. And now a speech.
I just want to say that friendship is about heart and brain. Who's with me?
Good thing is, he knows when he's buzzed.
And my brain is saying, when it's time to go home, somebody call me a ride.
Love that guy.
Me too.
Know your buzzed warning signs? Call for a ride when it's time to go home. Buzz driving is drunk driving. A message from NHTSA and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Joey Mack and Sean Mack. I think that works.
It does.
I think that works, you know. So I got to tell you, Sean, I'm going to read a comment on the YouTube stream. Okay. From Michael McPherson. Sound familiar? Mr. Mack, Sean's dad, watching from Arizona, growing up and playing sports, I was known as Mack. My grandfather was called Mac. My mom was Mrs. Mac. My dad was Mr. Mac. My brother was Little Mac. Well, there's a video game reference in there somewhere. So, Michael, if you know what I'm talking about, if you know, you know. So proud that Sean Mack is carrying on that tradition. Well, I think that your dad he just did it. I mean, he just gave you the name.
That's pretty cool.
So
that's pretty cool.
I think that's the end of it. Sean Mack is here with us today. All right. When we went to the break, I was talking about just how special Oregon special teams have been. You know, Sean, when you talk to the kicker for 9+ minutes and the punter for 13+ minutes, that probably means that special teams are doing
pretty
something
good.
Pretty special.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Tom Snee, it starts with him. He's had a fantastic year. I mean, his average from last year has increased by 8 yards per punt. He boomed a 56-yarder against Fresno State. Against Ohio State, you could name a bunch of MVPs from that game. He started the game with a punt to the 5-yard line, and then he ended the game with a punt to the 11-yard line, and that's something that people don't really talk about. So Tom Snee's had a fantastic year.
Yeah, Coach Cristobal said that he has become a true weapon. Now, of course, for Camden Lewis, he went through a little bit of adversity, kind of went through a slump. Henry Cattleman won the job, but now Camden Lewis has retaken that job as part of that competition. Got a chance to catch up with the Oregon place kicker this week.
Cam, just walk us through mentally for you. Obviously, it had to be a very trying and taxing year last year. How have you gone about everything from last November and losing that opportunity to an off season, competing, the way you went about it to be able to win the job and get back doing it?
Yeah, for sure. You just can't give up. You know, you can't ever just give in. Like, I knew what I was capable of. I knew what I can do, and I really just came down to believing in myself and believing in my abilities. You know, because you go through some rough things on the field, you start to kind of forget what you're capable of. You know, like you have a couple bad games, have a couple practices. It's like it's almost like you forget how to do what you do, or you do every day. You know what I mean? So it really just came down to believing in myself, talking to my family, talking to my friends, just getting comfortable again, and just smiling more and just being happy, like looking around and seeing where I am, and just being grateful for what I have. And things fall into place. They fall into place, and they did.
Was there a moment or a particular period of time where you felt the confidence kind of return?
I wouldn't really say one particular moment, but I would say a culmination of a bunch of really good practices and just getting back to myself, just making kicks every day and just, doing what I knew I could do, It definitely wasn't one specific moment, because you need to build up confidence over time, you know what I mean? It doesn't just happen in one day.
Was that in the fall camp then?
Fall camp, spring ball, even after the second half of the season in practice, like I was doing better than I ever had, but obviously, Henry was doing awesome, so I couldn't argue with that. I had to do what I could to help the team win, and that was kicking off. So, over time, I just continued to make kicks, continued to be confident in myself, and it worked out.
Did they lay out like a performance plan of any type for you, benchmarks to kind of hit through spring and fall?
Not necessarily. A lot of it falls on me, as far as like kicking, and I wouldn't say no. We really had any sort of. Obviously, the goal is to make every kick. You know what I mean? That's the goal. I'd say that's the benchmark, is to make every kick. But
it's such a mental component, kicking. Like I've known some kickers where it's like one or two can really throw off a rhythm for an entire season for some of these guys. For you, what was the mental battle just kind of like, especially in this fall camp, knowing that you were getting better, seeing it go in a little more consistently from further out? I mean, how much can it build when you just start seeing one or two or three start to go like that?
Yeah, you're right. It really does just take one, because I went into 2020 as confident as I could have been. I felt awesome. I had a great fall camp, and things just didn't fall into place. Things just didn't work out. And same thing happened this fall camp. I felt great again, and it's falling into place. It's just, you can't make them all, but you can make more than some. So I think I definitely didn't have the start I wanted, and that hurt. Like it hurt my confidence for sure. But you get back to practice, you just start building back.
Your touchback started to improve even late last season, but this year obviously it's a enormously higher clip.
Yep.
Can you share just what changed? Did you improve leg strength? Mario was talking a little bit about mechanics and certain things technique-wise, but how do you jump from 16-something% to 65%?
I mean, that's another thing that really is confidence. Like in high school, I was almost 100%. You know what I mean? It's just, obviously a lot of it comes down to technique, and I'm not going to sit here and explain to you guys, how to kick a touchback, but just relaxing, not trying to crush the ball, just swinging through smooth. I know I have the leg to get the ball in the end zone, but sometimes I would try to, kick it too hard, and then the ball goes fluttering off to the side, because it really is all about the way you make contact, and I just had to get that contact right, and it has helped a lot.
So obviously, just naturally, it sounds a lot like a golf swing sort of thing.
It's exactly like a golf swing.
So were you getting either ahead or behind? Were your hips getting ahead or behind the ball?
Yeah, I would say both. Depends on the kick. Some ahead, some behind. It is exactly like golf.
I thought that was really interesting that he said that. Jerry actually said that, Alan, on the show last night when we were talking about Camden Lewis. It's like a golf swing. Kicking is like a golf swing. So I was never a good kicker, and I have a baseball swing. I'm terrible at golf. Maybe I'm destined to always be a baseball hitter.
Yeah, I'm awful at golf as well. But just
how's your mini golf game though?
Mini golf, it's better, but it's not good. It's certainly not good.
I will play mini golf with anybody and I will win.
I'll go to the driving range, but I
cannot
golf.
If I go to the driving range, Sean, like 1 in 4 goes straight, and even then they're hooking and slicing. That's the thing. I know everybody's about to say, "Well, you just got to play the hook." Well, no, some of mine slice. We got to play. No, some of mine hook too. It's a real problem. It's a real problem. One guy who seems to hit everything perfectly is Tom Snee. We're going to hear from the Oregon punter when we come back. It's Duck Insider presented by On Point Community Credit Union on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
After 2 years of construction, my wife and I finally moved into our dream home. So when a bathtub fixture broke, causing major water damage, I was glad we had the home insurance protection we needed. How do you know your home is protected? Talk to a country financial rep like me, Nick Simon. We can help you understand your options and select coverages to meet your needs. Then if something happens to your home, you won't have any surprises. Need the right coverage for your home but not sure where to start? Visit TakeSimpleSteps.com or contact a local country representative.
From the weight room to the classroom, on the field and off it, On Point proudly supports University of Oregon athletics because student athletes do so much more than bring us pride on game day. They bring our entire community together in Eugene and all across Oregon. So whether you're watching the game in the stadium, at home, or at your favorite local business, their success makes all of us stronger. On Point Community Credit Union. Join in. OnPointCU.com. Federally insured by NCUA. Equal housing opportunity.
This is Duck Insider. Duck Insider on the Oregon Sports Network from Learfield.
Okay, forest animals, kids are coming to the forest, and it's up to us to make their visit a good one. Sparrow, have you practiced the most popular bird songs for the year?
Of course.
Catchy. I like it. River, how's the temperature?
It's a refreshing 52 degrees, man.
I love it. Turtle.
He's not here yet, man.
He's late every morning. Okay. Squirrel.
The forest has been preparing just for you. To learn more about cool things to do in the forest, visit discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
Tom has been a teacher for over 40 years. One day, I think one of the students had asked the question and he didn't remember the answer. And I also noticed that he was letting his class out earlier than they were supposed to let out. I was really starting to worry.
Levi and I talked about how it would change our lives, but he was there beside me.
When something feels different, it could be Alzheimer's. Now is the time to talk. Visit alz.org/ourstories to learn more. A message from the Alzheimer's Association and the Ad Council.
This weekend, we're going to see two of the best punters in the country. One of them playing for the Ducks, and Tom Snee. We welcome you back to Duck Insider, presented by On Point Community Credit Union. Tom Snee, you said it. He's been amazing. Coach Cristobal called him a weapon. He's really flipped the field for the Ducks, Sean.
Yeah, no, he's been great. I mean, Oregon's had a nice little tradition running. Blake Mamome a couple of years ago was really, really underrated, really good for that 2019 squad, and Tom Snee's having a career year.
Jackson Rice is a name that comes to mind for me. For Duck fans, he was unbelievably good. Tom Snee, though, following in those footsteps, and he has had a heck of a transition. Came all the way from Australia. The way the Ducks got him here, a Skype call, and someone went out and recorded film of Tom punting. That's how the Ducks recruited him. He talked about a number of different topics, including just what it's like to be a punter. Tom Snee.
How cool has it been, just the progress you've made since you've gotten here? I think it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, no, it's been gratifying coming through, and 2018 was a lot for me personally, just in life to get used to, and I think I said that to you in the past as well. But just in general, this past year, last year, and this year especially, just feel more comfortable in my own shoes. I know the job I'm here to do, I know what's required of me, and just having that sort of clarity mentally about the game has helped me a lot take that next step. So I think more than anything, just getting comfortable over time has really helped me sort of start kicking more consistently and take my game to the next level.
What kind of personal growth did you experience because of COVID? Because you haven't made it back to Australia, I don't think.
No, right. So I haven't been home since 2019 now, so going on 2 years. I grew up quick here as a freshman in 2018, but these past 2 years being in America have seen me develop personally a lot and stuff, and I've become more mature and had to look at things from a different perspective, which is never a bad thing, I don't think. It's been a hard year for myself, just as it has been for everyone, I'm pretty sure. I definitely wish I could have gone home at some point, but I wouldn't change it in the aspect that I'm a more complete person now, and I've grown through that time and through those challenges of not seeing family and stuff, and I think for the better.
With how isolated you were last year, especially with being a specialist on top of that, looking through your Instagram, it looks like that you were able to travel around the U.S. a little bit this summer and get out. Like how much did you need that?
Oh, more than anything. We get a couple of weeks here and there off from the team, and I can't go home or anything. It's not possible financially and logistically. So I have a few friends, most of them from punting, that I've trained with around America, and with that time off I made the most of it, and I've seen a bit of the country as well as catching up with some old friends, which has done me the world of good mentally, coming away and sort of just kicking with other guys, and for me, as punting concerns, different punters always see different things in your technique, so having other eyes to lean on has helped me as far as my kicking's concerned. Right. And then mentally as well, just sort of freeing me up and getting out of town has been good and whatnot. So
when did you start planning that out? Like, did you know you were just going to have like a good summer of travel and being able to?
Yeah, you know, it just came about that way. Yeah. Through COVID and not being able to go home, one of my former teammates, he's not at Oregon anymore, but he's become like a brother to me, and his family lives in Florida. And through the whole pandemic, I've spent a lot of time down there, and that relationship and that friendship has grown tremendously. So in aspects like that, I'm really grateful, but it just kind of materialized. And like I said, we have about 7 to 10 days off here and there, and I just was looking at it, and I could make work what I made work, so you made the most of it.
Do you have a favorite place that you've...
No, I've learned that America's pretty diverse. It's really interesting like that. Everywhere you go is a bit different in one way or another. But I like parts about every place. You know, I like the food everywhere. It's all different, it's all unique. And again, coming back to it, as hard as it's been not being able to go home, I'm grateful for those experiences and seeing the country and traveling around and sort of, you know, making the most of it, I guess.
I think Mario was talking about how your recruiting process was kind of over Skype because you weren't able to make it out here. Yeah. Especially as a specialist and also being from Australia, how was your recruiting process maybe different from, you know, some of your teammates?
Yeah, it was crazy in hindsight. You know, just in general, the recruitment process from a broad college perspective, it's very different coming through Pro Kick Australia, the program I trained with back home. You're never going to have, you know, you have all these athletes in America through high school that have 20 offers, 30 offers, 40 offers. It doesn't work like that. So it's different in that side of things. You're sort of just training and hoping for an opportunity alone, and if that presents itself, people normally take it. And then as far as Oregon was concerned, it materialized really quickly for me. I think, you know, this is going back 3 or 4 years, but it was a pretty late recruitment. Like I started speaking to coaches March, April of that year, and I was here in July. So it really kind of happened bang bang, and I didn't really know what was going on in the moment, but I sort of just took it and ran with it. And you know, like I said, my freshman year was a lot, but I'm here now, and I couldn't be more thankful and grateful for how everything sort of worked out.
God, how cool is that, man? Just hearing a little bit about his story, and he's look, one of the easiest guys to root for. I've gotten the chance to know him a little bit, and look, I've said this before. I said on the Coach's Show, Sean, this is one of my isms. I think I love a good punter. Like, I think, and everybody always laughs when I say that. Like, I remember talking to some of our radio colleagues up in Portland one time, and they were like, they just laughed. They're like, what do you mean you love a good punter? I was like, if you have a great punter, it changes the game. You can flip the field. You always have a favorable position. I mean, I love a good punter. It changes everything.
It's important.
It's really
super important.
Sean, well done, buddy.
Appreciate it.
First time that we've had Sean with us for an entire show. Fans, he's going to be back. He's going to be back. We'll be back tomorrow. Jerry and Jordan will be here. Bring your ibuprofen. See you then.
Okay, man. This is your time. Maybe you didn't choose this, but you're here now. You're going to go out there and be an all-star caregiver. Cook, clean, be there emotionally and physically. You got to dig deeper. Drive them to physical therapy, doctor's appointments, because that's what caregivers do. Don't give up. Show the world that you're tougher than tough.